Good evening, everyone. This is Ron. It's Monday, a little after 6 p.m., about 6:03, and we'll go ahead and get started with our session today. And we will start off with questions and see where we are and go from there. Maybe do a recap of kind of sort of what we talked about yesterday, as much as I can remember anyway. But first, do we have any questions on what we talked about yesterday or anything else for that matter?
I wasn't on this. I have a question. Um, I had asked Reverend Richards last week for last, about this spirit. I can't think of the name of it. How you pronounce it, Reverend Richards? You remember? Was it a caliper?
I don't. I remember us talking about it, but I know how I explained it.
Uh-huh.
What happens is there are people who have been taught that there are different kinds of spirit, like a spirit of greed, a spirit of lust, a spirit of this, a spirit of that. That's non-existent. That is charismatic. That's charismatic teaching. As a matter of fact, is the charismatic teachings of Caucasians. And the Africans who teach that, that's where they got it from. There's only one spirit, and that's you. And if you lust after something, that's your choice. There's not a spirit of lust that's on you or in you. That's a choice you make. If you're greedy, you just greedy. That's a choice you make. So when people talk about that spirit is on him of whatever, then that's simply a different way of misinterpreting and mishandling the scriptures and total ignorance of the attributes of the spirit itself. So you cannot delineate different spirits because there's only one. I hope that helps.
Yeah. Okay. Remember. Okay. Explain then what was it then that said it was a spirit that went out of the man into the swine? So what was it? What would you explain that?
When they said that the spirit, they sent the spirit into the swine, that's a mistranslation, misinterpretation. The only thing that they were saying was comparing the man to the swine itself in terms of him being no better, no more than the swine, because that is an idiom that was mistranslated. One of the lowest things that anybody can say to you in the East, especially during that period, is that you were a swine, you were a pig. And to this day, we say the same, look at that pig. And that's a degrading term. So it was not that his spirit left him and went into the swine, because if it had done that, then the swine would have been a human. Everywhere we see demons being cast out in the scriptures, all of those are misinterpretations, because the word demonic or the word Satan, all of them speak to an adversary, but they do not speak to an entity that embodies anybody or an entity that possesses anyone. Yes, I taught that because I didn't know any better. However, I've learned better, and now my quest is to make sure that the questions come, especially if I've taught it, I want to clarify it and not deny the fact that I was one of the people who taught that. I hope that's clear. Okay.
Yes, for me, yes.
Anybody else? Okay, Ron.
Hello, everyone. This is Kathy. And Ron, I don't know if you're going to do the recap. I had a couple of questions from some of the things we talked about on yesterday. Would you like for me to ask my question before you do the recap, or do you want to do the recap first?
I tell you what, let me do the recap first, Kathy. That may make more sense because as Kathy just said, that she wasn't on yesterday, and it may be someone else that wasn't on. Uh, and Kathy's question and Reverend Richard's answer kind of help bring us into the recaps. One of the things we talked about was what does it mean when Pharaoh hardened, when God hardened Pharaoh's heart. It really speaks of all of Egypt. And that is talking about when it speaks of all of Egypt, that attitude, that place of consciousness where they were. But when it talks about heart, what we have been taught to believe is God forced him to do something. God took away his free will. When actually, that scripture, if you don't mind, you guys, so someone please mute the phone, please. Thank you. What that is really saying is just the opposite of that. It is saying that you have opportunity to go either way. Your free will allows you to do either thing. So what the catalyst is, or the thing that gets you to see, it points a mirror to you. So you go in the direction that your heart was intended. For example, we used when the Moses saw the two men fighting, and he goes and helps the Hebrew kill the Egyptian. That's where his heart was. When he saw that, the hardening of his heart, in other words, it became stronger in the direction that he was intended to go in, what he was flowing in. So I'm listening what Pastor said in his explanation. That works both ways. It pushes you, if your heart is to do wrong or to commit acts of wickedness or whatever, then whatever the catalyst is that stimulates you, that's the direction you go in. But you also have the opportunity not to go in that direction. So we talked about that yesterday and kind of gave a couple of examples. The other thing I think was really that one of the things anyway, we'll get into the womb later, but hopefully later today, but if not, that's fine too. But first, Evelyn had a question, and Evelyn's question dealt with the Tower of Babel, and we were trying to gain some understanding of that, and that kind of took us in another direction to look at that, and hopefully, I don't remember all the details of it, but hopefully someone can help me with that if there's a question on it. Okay, Kathy, did that help at all, or?
Yes, that's exactly where I wanted to go, to the Tower of Babel, and I have two questions there. The first one is for Evelyn, because I loved her question yesterday, and I liked how she pretty much compared like an Elon Musk. That's who she used as her example yesterday, in trying to access God in his own way. And as a result of that, she asked, was that like the Tower of Babel, where man ought to seek God and access God in their own way? So my first question is really for Evelyn, because I wondered what she saw when she saw that, because she asked that question. But when that came to her, I feel like she had to have seen something herself, and I was curious as to what she saw. And then I have a part two, if Evelyn will answer that for me first. If Evelyn is on.
Hey, I'm here, sweetie,
Hey.
and thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate you. Hey, family.
I appreciate more.
And your question was, how did I feel when I saw what? Elon Musk
Well, when
and
you were able to make that comparison, because I thought that was pretty profound, that you saw Elon Musk and you saw the Tower of Babel. And I just wondered how you saw that, I guess is what I'm asking. And what more did you see, or did you see more when you saw that?
everything that was said yesterday, it did, it enlightened me a lot on that, but I knew that there were, it seems as if I don't know how to answer that. I just saw that
What
the rich
prompted
people in this, well, I was about to say, I see that rich people, all these rich people in the universe, they have control. They're trying to take control over the universe, over us. And I thought about how they're building all these buildings and putting money into these buildings and stuff like that, trying to advance technology. And the thought just came, so is Elon Musk trying to be like Nimrod and reach God in his own way and control the world? Because he is the richest man in the world right now. Am I correct with that? Or that I know of? But I just knew that I started looking internally, Kathy, when
Okay.
I asked that question. So yeah.
And it was a profound observation. Pastor, you wanted to say something before I ask my next part of this question?
Yeah. Elon Musk is an excellent example because of his desires to reach the moon and then go. Not that he's trying to reach God, is that he's developing or presenting himself as God, because he can do anything he wants to do because he has the money to do it. Therefore, his God allows him to do it, which is his money, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Yes. And that's on the heels of what I wanted to say next, because I made the reference yesterday that it's accessing God through the God of this world, which is the God of this world being money. And that is who they're patterning themselves out there and using their money and their influence and their perceived power. And not saying that we as believers don't have power. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm saying their external power and what they call respect, or whatever they think man is supposed to give them because they have money. But the thing that I looked at as I was listening to yesterday about the language, and I wanted to go back and ask about the language, because they were all one language, one speech in all the earth. And when the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they will begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. It makes me wonder if the language and speech was separated at that time. What's the language and speech of today that would drive an Elon Musk? Because there is still something prevalent here in this realm, that man feels that there are men, certain types of men who think, or a certain type of man, let me say it that way, who thinks that he can build his own tower, so to speak, and act and be the God of everything from an external standpoint, and not having an internal journey at all. So I wanted to know what is the present day representation of the language and anything that he can think now, because that hasn't changed. Anything that he can think today and put his mind to, like going to the moon and building all of these different things like we used with the example of Elon Musk on yesterday. What is representative of the language and the thought pattern of that man today, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, Kathy, I agree with you. I see your question. It all and Pastor can answer part of this as well as he see it. Tower, and Pastor mentioned him going to the moon. All of that is the same energy. The height, the at one time, men bragged about who had the highest skyscrapers in the world. America had the highest skyscrapers in the world. I think the highest skyscrapers now are in Dubai, and there's nothing close to them. So it is a status symbol. It is power. It is prestige. It is men showing their might, if you will. So that's the same sort of thing. When you stop and look at that and look at language, you say the scripture said they all spoke the same language. That language is what you see now. The language that we are using on this phone sounds like the same language that you hear, for example, Trump supporters using, but it's a different language. They're in a different place. They're in a different place of consciousness. This language we're talking about now, I remember working for a man when I worked at a previous company. I worked for Dish Network, and this man was a billionaire. And I remember, I don't remember in the 10 years I was there, him ever walking in speaking to anybody. He'd walk in and sort of look through you and have people walking behind him taking notes, and he's pointing at stuff. So we walk in the same land, we're in the same places. We supposedly open the same book to worship, but there are many languages in the earth now, and there are many languages in America now, and it all sounds like English, but we're not on the same page. So that's what it's talking about when it's saying they were of one language. It's talking about men who were see their power and status, and as the example was Elon Musk, who had that desire to separate themselves, not only separate themselves from other men, but to show that they are as much God as God. Look at what we can do. Look at how far we can go. Look at how far we can move away from you. Even to this day, if there is a way that somebody can build condominiums on the moon or something on the away from the earth and get away from the earth, they will do so. Not because necessarily they think it's better, but simply because they can. And it will be a status. How do we elect a man president that can barely be articulate and put a sentence together, but we elect him president simply because he knows how to make money? And we have been taught that is power, that is a status, and that puts him above the rest of us. And there are people out here that treat him that way. So yeah, that's the language part, at least the way I see it. It may sound like English, but we speak different languages even today. Does that help any?
Yes, that does. Because what I'm thinking is I'm looking at verse 4. The whole purpose of them saying that they were going to build a tower in the first place, that it would go make it to heaven so that they could make a name for themselves before they would be, or they may be scattered all over the earth. It was as if though they wanted to stay unified and work together to be their own God. And they were trying to not be separated or be scattered, as they're saying here. But as I look at where we are today, like you just beautifully explained, Ron, it's still going on. Even though we may be in different states, in different places, there are those who seek to access God their own way and to see themselves as God. There are thought patterns in this realm where people think certain ways about certain races of people or certain types of people, and they have a different feeling or hatred or whatever in their hearts. These things are still very prevalent today. And I that's why I said I thought it was profound that we see this now, and we don't want to overlook this, that this mentality still exists even today.
Even today. And the name for themselves is simply saying we want to separate ourselves. We want to show you who we are. Why would they make a name for who? Who would notice that? Who would know that? The other people in the earth. We want to separate ourselves from you. We want to show you who we are. That's no different than now.
Thank you. That makes sense. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah. You're welcome. Anyone else?
Ron, I
Like
have
I
a
was-
question. I'm sorry, I yield, Charles.
I don't forgot my thought. Oh, okay. Now, Elon Musk and the people with money and power, they the one that's trying to move and build buildings and homes and stuff on the moon or Mars, however that goes. And because people like me and you and other people that don't have the money, you can't travel. They're using people with money to do this.
Yeah. You're right on target, Charles, and all that. See, we have to, if we look at everything spiritually, what we see is we're right in the middle of that as well. There's nothing to happen in the earth now that you're not a part of. If we go back and think about this journey and how we started, and we talked about everything has to be revealed, everything has to be uncovered, this is a part of it.
Right.
And, okay, good, okay. Pastor, we were talking about, Kathy asked the question about languages, and we were going into languages, and now we're talking about those who have the money and wish to desire to separate themselves from those who don't have it. And what I was trying to say is this is all a part of what we originally started, where we started, when we talked about everything has to be revealed, everything has to be uncovered. This is a part of it. So it looks as though in a lot of ways how chaotic things are and, misguided even, but all of this is a part of the journey that we started. And so that too, even, and not even, but especially with Evelyn asking the question right now, where we are and how we study is not haphazard. It is not something that we just come up with. We meditate on this, and even the questions that come up are a part of that. So as we continue in this journey, we know that when we discuss things like this, it has everything to do with what's happening in the earth. And it is also us shedding light on it as it is happening, because it is who we are and what we are purposed to do. So yeah, the question and hopefully the explanation brings clarity and kind of helps support who we are and kind of shows us the way a little bit more. But anyone else, Pastor, anyone else have it? Yes, sir.
I just wanted to know what Kathy's her question rather, and how you responded to it, or you guys responded to it.
Well, she asked about the scripture. Kathy, you want to ask your question again? You can probably say a lot faster than me.
Yeah, I'll try to go back and say it. I won't say it the same way, I'm sure, because I don't know what I said. But I was asking about the language and how, well, I referenced also that the purpose for building the tower, that they said they wanted to make a name for themselves, and that lest they be scattered, because they didn't want to be scattered. They wanted to stay unified in everybody look at us, look at what we're able to do. I'm making a name for myself, a name as though I am God and I can reach into the heavens and access God in my own way. And I'm paraphrasing all of this. But my question was, when we began to look at the language, they were all one people with one language. And the scripture says that the Lord said they have one language, and this they will begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. So my question is, what was the language today? Because that language and that mindset is still prevalent in the man who does not know that he is on a journey to actualize self and to recognize that he is the I am. So as a result of that, that mindset is still prevalent here in this earth realm even today. and that Ron explained the language that though we may be all speaking, quote unquote, and I'm just going to say English for the sake of clarity for right now, that we're not all speaking the same English, because he gave the reference of people who may be behind Trump speak one way. The man that's on the journey to actualizing that and understanding that he is I am has another language that he's speaking, and though it may all sound similar, it's not the same language, and the similarity is not even in the words that are being spoken. And so we were basically just looking at that, because the thing is, the key point to me from this too was that nothing will be restrained from him, which they have imagined. Anything that you still put your mind to do, you will still try to accomplish those things. And that's what we're seeing with the Elon Musk and the men who, quote unquote, see themselves as the power brokers in this earth realm based on what they have, not on anything spiritual, no spirituality involved, but based on what they have acquired and who they think they are based on what they have. And so my question was basically looking further at the language and the thinking that's still at play even in this realm today.
Thank you. I want to get back to Elon Musk for a moment. I think I heard before my phone dropped, and I had to get people out of the car. I think I heard that Elon Musk has external power, but he doesn't. Elon Musk is dealing with spiritual power, spiritual energy. He just doesn't know it. And his power manifests in the form of money and the manipulation of governmental powers, people. The politics of it is where his power is manifested, but he is using the energy that all of us have. He's just using it in a corrupt manner. And the Tower of Babel, they were using it in a corrupt manner. And that is why they were interrupted in what they were doing. And since we're speaking of Elon, may I say something about that I saw today? I do not believe that Elon Musk bought Twitter on his own. I believe that it was a collusion between the government and other wealthy people. And the reason I say that is this. If it had not been for Twitter, no one would have known about Michael Brown being killed, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, all of that information was provided by Twitter. So, and one day, when George Floyd was killed, the protest broke out in, what's that city he was killed in anyway? Minneapolis. Yeah, Minneapolis. But before the evening was over with, there were protests all over the country because of Twitter. And they erupted all over the world because of Twitter. The same thing for Breonna Taylor and everybody else. Otherwise, if it were not for Twitter, they would have been just another dead black person that nobody knew about. So I believe that this is Elon Musk purchasing this is based upon a conspiracy between those who are in power to destroy Twitter so that the information will be unreliable, or the people will leave Twitter and not use it in that manner. Because once the information becomes unreliable on Twitter, then no matter what happens, you be questioning whether it's true or not. Now, what does that have to do with the Tower of Babel? He's changing the language of compassion. He's changing the language of empathy. He's changing a language that is capable of bringing to the surface the mistreatment of the downtrodden and the abuse of those who have no voice. What does it have to do with the Tower of Babel? These men are functioning as God in this world because their power is coming from their money, which is the God of this world. And if we think for a moment that this has nothing to do with the church, you are either thinking wrong or you're in the wrong place. Because it does. It has everything to do with spirituality as well. It really does. Because if we cannot look at what happened to George Floyd, because it didn't say something about Jesus, then we need to just burn the Bible and get it over with. Because everything that I mentioned is totally related to spirituality. Everything. So when we look at it from that perspective, we see that the evangelical church, when it comes to George Floyd, is speaking one language. The Baptist or Methodist church is black. It speaks another language, and we are speaking a totally different language than all of those. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfectly good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pastor, I have a question.
Sure.
So when you say we're all speaking the same language, language doesn't necessarily mean that there's a verbal language. It's a consciousness.
That's not what I'm talking about. When you go to church, right?
Oh, well,
When you go to church, you hear the
mhm.
people, right? When you get on this line, you hear something totally different, but it's the same words, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a different language. We say it all the time. If we were to go into a church and talk about the things that we see in the scriptures, they would put us out. Why? Because we're speaking a language that they don't understand and they don't care for. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, and I got that part. But isn't language also something that doesn't have to be said?
Right. Yeah, you got body language.
And
Your expression on your face speaks for it.
That would also include thought too, though, right?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about.
thought is a language.
Yeah.
The thing about thought, though, is this. Thought is a language that speaks to you or that gives you opportunity to choose what you want to do, choose direction that you are going to follow, choose to guard from this side of the river or the other side. That's what thought does. But thought also seeps into the minds of other people because of it being energy. There are times when you pull up, when you get ready to pull off from a light, you stop because something has told you that person is going to pull off. Who told you that? That person who pulled off told you that. Their thoughts were to pull off, and you picked it up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes, sir. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ron.
I have a question based on something Pastor said, and I kind of lost my thought just then. What did Pastor just talk about? Oh, shoot.
Still on the phone. You can ask.
Well, I wondered when you were talking about the wealthy wanting to control things and change Twitter and manipulate. I want to know, how did that make everybody feel? What did you feel when Pastor said that? Anything?
Well, the way I feel like people with money is getting ready to change some things again.
Okay.
I felt
Charles.
one that. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kathy.
No, I was just going to say, I felt like once again, wake up and pay attention because things are happening that you're not even, I mean, I had not perceived it in that manner at all, had not even thought of it that way. And we've got to be vigilant and paying attention to what's going on because things are happening right in front of us. And that if you don't look for the spiritual meaning and understanding in it, you just see it as an event that just happened and you dismiss it because I've been thinking all those people quit and they're showing him they don't want to work for him, but I didn't think of what is the bigger picture? What is it? Why would he want Twitter? Now I'm vigilant in thinking, okay, what do we need to do to reverse what he's trying to do? So those were my thoughts.
Okay. See, we have over the years, or maybe I'll speak for me. Everything moves us. We let our feelings and emotions move us, and there are times I have said in the past, "Here we go again." We are at a different place now. And we talk about consciousness all the time, and that's simply, or to simplify it more, it's more than this, but it's your awareness, your place, your awareness of who you are and what this is all about now. So as this energy swirls, and we are talking about swirling energy here, or chaotic energy, that no longer, I hope, alarms us. That people, as we've said before, they're doing their job. They're stimulating part of us so that we will act in accordance to what we're supposed to do. So that agitation is real, and it is for us. So it should not frighten us, no matter what they do to Twitter or any other social media platform out there. So there may not be a day, a week, or a day that we pick up the paper or cut the television on that we don't see some other action that has taken place. But we stay steadfast in who we are, and knowing what it means to be a creator. Because there's nothing we can't do, especially us together. So there would have been a time when he said that, I'm like, wow, okay, what happens if they do that? But that doesn't even bother me anymore. I was just curious. If anybody else felt anything when Pastor said that. So thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments?
Ron, this is Evelyn again. What we're talking about is very powerful. I mean, I don't know if everybody see the power in this, what we're talking about, by us having that one mind collectively, and that's power. I mean, That's amazing how we didn't see that scripture like we did before, and now it's written to me. It has really come to life. Whatever I put my mind to, I can accomplish. I can be any or whoever I want to be in this life, as long as I do it the right way. That's all I want to say.
Well, think about this. Go back a couple of minutes ago. Pastor said, "You stopped your car." What did you hear? You heard the thought, "I'm gonna run this red light. I'm gonna run the stop sign. I'm gonna speed through this intersection." You picked up on, which means everything has to come to you. You are the light. You are the. So that there is nothing out there that is more powerful than that. And I think we are really starting to awaken to that, to recognize it, and not to say that in every instance we're going to know what to do or how to add to it, but we're moving to a place that we're not shaken anymore. And when you're not shaken, you're ready to listen. You're ready to be still and listen. So I like that. What Evelyn just said. I think we're in a good place. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Ron, you had said
Yes.
you said something right along what Evelyn had said. The thoughts. You remember when Jesus came up on the scene and those demons had told him, "You coming to destroy us," and they were talking to Jesus, but Jesus still hadn't said anything until they said, "Instead of destroying us, can we go into the swine?" And
Yeah. So,
you
ahead,
see what I'm
sorry.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the same kind of thought that we're listening to.
Ron, you want to respond to that?
I think you gave the best answer. Those conversations are not external. They're all in our head. And as Pastor said, that wasn't quoted properly, the swine part. But in other words, these conversations that we have inside of ourselves, whatever it is that you see the swine to be, the lowest part of how I want to dismiss something. And Pastor, correct me if I'm wrong, that is no different than saying, you know what, that's not going to be a part of me. I'm going to drop this away. I'm not even going to entertain that. So that is kind of hard to see in that place and see what if those two things meaning the same thing, but that was misinterpreted. That wasn't how that was read to be. And I even think a lot of things like that may have been interpreted that way for sensationalism, but that's not exactly what is being said there, Charles. And I probably did a poor job of kind of.
Okay.
I want
Explain that then.
I want to tell the story of that.
All right.
Here's Jesus. And Jesus hears the thoughts, the adversarial thoughts of men. All Jesus is saying is this: you continue with adversarial thoughts, they dominate you. They will destroy you. They will carry you to the lowest rung on the ladder, which is being a pig. And what did those pigs do? What did the swine do? They ran off a cliff and killed and drowned themselves, did they not?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That these adversarial thoughts will destroy you. That's
Charles, that makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense. I just, I was in deep thought when he was talking about that.
Any questions about that from anyone?
Good evening, everyone. I hope this is in context with what Mr. Charles asked. One of the things about a pig, just based upon the pig's anatomy, pig never knows who feed them because they're not, I don't know if they're not designed to hold their head up, yet they always eat off the ground. And if you look at that from a religious standpoint, or just in life, there are some people that can come to me and tell me something, I'm not even going to ask why. Yet there are some people that can tell, well, why did that happen? So one of the things I try and do at this point, I'm asking why on everything. Just why. So that's just one of the things about a pig. A pig is conditioned that the pig never looks up. So this is one of the things I greatly admire about Greater New Faith Foundation or anyone that's in a position of leadership. I can at least ask Miss Evelyn a question. I can at least disagree with Miss Evelyn. I can at least agree with Miss Evelyn. The other thing that we do very well, especially the teachers, whether you talking to me or you talking to Charlotte and Charlene, y'all keep your same virtue. You keep your same standards. And when you all walk in with the wealthy people, whatever that is, you never lose your common touch. And I forgot who said it. Some guy named Kipling said, Rudyard Kipling. He said that. He said some other stuff too. So don't be the pig out here. Somebody come up there and tell you something. Hey, George did this, George did that. Go and ask why. That letter Y or WHY is just not important in math. It's important if you start asking why, I can almost guarantee you people that know what your eardrum like to hear, they ain't gonna be able to con you so quick. Just ask why. Don't be the pig to keep the head down because you know that person. That's it. Thank you.
That question of why works miracles in relationships. Argument starts based upon somebody challenging someone. When all you have to do is say, I don't understand. What do you mean? Or why? Why are you saying this? I don't understand. Explain it. That's the best use of why in terms of relationships. As far as the hog is concerned, you're right. He does not know who's feeding him and doesn't even care what he's eating. And that's how Jesus deemed adversarial thoughts to be. You're just like a pig. You're just like a hog. You're eating up all of these beliefs, everything they tell you. You're eating it up. You're not even looking up long enough to want to understand what you're eating. You're ingesting any and everything, and you will be drowned by it. Just continue. That's all he's saying. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
It does to me.
Yes.
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 That does indeed. Does indeed. Thank you. Thank you. Where, excuse me, I'm sorry, y'all. Where are we now? Questions, comments?
So, and this question is to anyone. If you hung out in the group with Elon Musk, I know nothing about this dude. I don't even know how he look. Anything that I've gathered on him is what I've heard in this meeting. Yet if you were in the same arena with Elon Musk, how would you change his world? Because I don't know if the dude's a good dude, a bad dude, indifferent dude. I can't speak on that. Yet, if you was in his arena, y'all at the same country club, y'all at the same restaurant, y'all in the same neighborhood, you get your vehicle at the same dealer, what would you do to change him? What could he learn from you? Not really,
George,
Richard.
I think you've already given the answer.
No, I just want to hear from someone else. So.
No, when you say it, no matter who you're around, whether it's somebody wealthy or not wealthy, you be yourself. You do whatever it is you do. That's the answer. You don't try to impress him. You don't try to change him. You be who you are. You treat him the same way you would be if you got out of your truck and you walked in a restaurant. or you in your terminal with your friends. You are who you are. At least that's my answer.
I believe what you said, Ron, is true, because if you're trying to be something different, if I was Elon Musk, I wouldn't talk to you or be around you. If you was being yourself, no matter you indoors or outdoors, in the pool, out of pool, he have to look and see something different that he don't have.
Ron, I can relate to what you told George too. I am dealing with celebrities at my job who are applying for a license, and I won't say the license, but I treat them just like just like the common person, or just like I would you or anyone else. And the people at work, they like, okay, so you're not gonna give them extra treatment? No, because I know who I am, and I have to let them know we have guidelines and regulations that we have to follow as well. So people respect you more when you just be you and don't try to fake it till you make it, or you know what I mean? But when you are who you are, they'll realize that, and they will have respect for you as well. That's all I want to say about that.
There is from the youngest to the oldest, or the wealthiest, who you treat everybody with that same respect, and especially us as Africans. It should be something that we consider when we meet somebody. How do I want to be treated here? How do I want to this person to address me? So yes, sir. Go ahead.
Just go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. Even on my job, I have no status on this job, but I think that I have the respect of at least most of the people that I know there, and there's absolutely nothing that I've done differently than anybody else. You just be yourself, and I think that's more than enough.
Well, Ron, Reb, and the rest of you all, just based on the last couple of lessons I've heard Reverend Richard really stress, we're spiritual. The African American is spiritual. And I believe we are. I believe everyone is spiritual. I just think some may cover a little bit more acreage than others. Yet in my experience of living, whenever the European male that I know them now, whenever they get recklessly drunk and they by themselves, they'll call me up. And it's the first time I experienced it, it was kind of scary because he turned suicidal. And I'm saying that was the good part about it, because the other 3 sentences before that, he was talking about doing harm to some other people. He was somewhere between homicidal and suicidal. So I don't know if that has ever happened to you all, where a European male has gotten recklessly drunk and he called you up and cried, belly aching. I've seen cases where European males have alienated another European male. And the European male that was alienated, for whatever reason, when he ain't got nowhere to go, he come to black folk, come to me. Former Governor McNair, he wanted to make sure black folks was around his deathbed when he transitioned. and he was the governor at the time of South Carolina. He's directly associated with Smith, Hamilton, and Middleton, or the Orangeburg Massacre. And with some African Americans, some of them think by helping the European, and I don't know no other way to say it, someone correct me, or white trash. Some of them feel like if they help them, it put them on a fast track to heaven. They won't help their own kind, but they'll help them. And I didn't seen that with my own eyes. Yet we are spiritual. We do give off a beacon. And by being spiritual, I do feel that when we don't get our stuff together and we dilly-dallying around, I think our ancestors get kind of, I reckon, pissed off, concerned, blah, blah, blah. That's it.
But you know, George, I've had black folk males to get drunk and call me, and they were homicidal and or suicidal in their thoughts while they were drunk. I've known African people to take sides with what McNair did. As a matter of fact, one of the people who was present at the Orangeburg Massacre became a friend of mine later on when I went to college in D.C. And we were his support system because his daddy told him he was wrong for being out there in front of that bowling alley. His daddy told him that he was ruining their name. His daddy felt like the National Guard did what they were supposed to do. So it's not just the Caucasian male. It's people, black or white. The other thing is this. McNair wanted people, black folk around his bed because he felt guilt. He knew what he did was wrong. He heard it enough to know that. So I don't sit back. I don't look at whether the attributes of a group of people represents all the people in that group. For example, there are Africans in this country who wholeheartedly support Donald Trump. But that does not represent all of African people. There are Caucasians in this country who will call you the N-word and mean it and want to lynch you. But that does not represent all of the Caucasians in this country. So when we talk about certain attributes, we are talking about cultural attributes. And someone getting a drunk and being homicidal or being suicidal is not necessarily a cultural attribute of anybody. Those are things that runs the whole gamut. When we start looking at cultural attributes, or we're looking at things like the measures that are designed to keep us powerless. Example, sitting on a bus, as integration did, next to a white person does not give you any more power than you had before you got on the bus. Why? Because the overwhelming cultural attribute of the Caucasian is you can sit where you want to sit. You still don't have any power. You're still less than I am. That's the overall cultural attribute, but it does not mean that all Caucasians feel that way. And that works with any group of people. Because to be quite frank with you, the most damage that's done to us as a people is not done by white people. It's done by those who look like us, who the white people put in charge of us. The pastors, Black Caucus, those are the most dangerous ones because they are in a position to do the work of those who seek to do us harm in order for them to remain popular with those who seek to do us harm. And most of them are in key religious/political positions, and they draw the lines to make sure that that group stays in their position because they know that whether you can work through the system all your life, you will never, ever work your way into the system. The system must be destroyed, and that must be the mindset of the spiritual man, because if it's not spiritually dismantled, it will always be materially ruled by European and European descendants. I'm done.
Questions or comments, y'all?
I don't want us to start painting people with a broad brush. I don't want us to do that because that's how we have been painted. So two rights never make a wrong. Make two wrongs never make a right. I'm sorry. Unrightness and unripeness will not ripen anything. But one ripened apple will ripen an unripened apple. Therefore, we must be ripened. We must be righteous. We must be the ones who are expressive of love and empathy and sympathy and all the other things that are necessary for mankind to be one. I don't want us to think that this is an issue that can be settled politically, because it's not. My experiences are that it doesn't work, because what was described is the ideals that African nationalists have. African nationalism is no different than white Christian nationalism. It's all about your race and nobody else's. It's all about your group of people and nobody else's. However, spiritual responsibility makes us responsible and obligated to ripen all of those around us, regardless of what group of people they hail from. The world, the globe, will not be ripened. The global community will not be ripened until those Caucasians who run the world are ripened. When you look at what's happening in China, in Iran, they are not rebelling against the president as they say. Beneath that, what they're actually rebelling against is the ways of American capitalism, even in Iran. Iran would not be in the position it's in if America had not overthrown their government and put in place a dictator. So I guess what I'm trying to say to all of us is this. Wherever you see a rebellion, the rebellion beneath the surface. It's against the chains of bondage that has their anchor in this nation. I'm done.
Oh, what do you guys think? That's a good place to pause? There's something
Yes.
else that I'm sorry.
I think a lot has been said tonight, and I like the way Pastor especially expressed that we should not try to group people. For me, this is a good place to pause.
Thank you.
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, we've said a lot, and I didn't want to jump on another subject or go into any other scripture. I think this would be a good place. And guys, just notice how we every lesson now we're looking in a mirror. We're seeing ourselves. We're seeing ourselves. We're growing. We're moving. We're not standing still. So, yeah, it's a little after 7, so we'll go ahead and stop here. Pastor, did you want to say anything more about ST's mom and the arrangements they've made?
Yeah, the arrangement that they made is at New Home Street Baptist Church in Charleston on 7 Killian Street. And the funeral is going to be Saturday, December 3rd. Is this Saturday?
Yes.
Saturday at 12. That's all I know right now.
Okay.
As far as other arrangements, I have no clue.
Okay. Thank you.
But as I do my kids out, okay.
So, is there anything else to grab our attention? Okay. Well, once again, keep ST in your thoughts and prayers, and hope you have a good week, and look forward to hearing from you Saturday. And thank you. All the questions and comments. Thank you.
And any questions, just text them or call and leave them. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a
Thank
good night
you,
now.
everyone.
Good night. Thank you. Good night.